Hello, lesson 4 now, and this video is going to be about identifying major and minor reaction legs for pivot and fib pool levels. So in the previous two lessons we defined how the red lines work. There's a saying that we say that the line makes the fib and the fib makes the line. So regarding that information, you will understand that the green fork that you've seen in those previous examples are key as a strong fork, right? So anytime, let's draw an example here so as you get the idea. So say you had 3 pivots like this, and then price came off. If you can draw a fork of this 3 pivots, A, B, C. You always miss P2, right? If you have a situation like that, anywhere on your chart with a red line connecting these 3 pivots, this will immediately tell you that this green fork is a good fork, right? That is one fact alone. Because I'm sure you can appreciate that you can pull the ABC from any pivots. How do you know the good ones, right? This is often the big question people have. How do you know which pivot to pull from? What I'm showing you here is that the fact that you've got a red line connecting here, this quantifies the validity and strength of this fork. There are times, right, that you will draw a fork off price, and you'll see, for example, you might have, let's say this fork you just took off A, B, C. Let's say you just did that, right? Is this a valid fork? Yes, it is. It's a valid fork. What will make it more valid? The thing that actually makes it more valid is if price came off C and it came back to test C, and it came back again, and it came back to do a retest of C. This, at this point in time, as price is coming up to this level here, the fact that it did a test already often validates the fork. You with me? When you see this sort of thing, it validates the fork. So in this lesson I want to talk about the reaction legs. Okay, so this is about how the language that we use. Okay, the language we use is this would be impulse, this is reaction, this is impulse, this is reaction, this is impulse, this is reaction, impulse, and then we get this. Now as soon as price breaks this pivot, we can then call this impulse. And this would be reaction, and this will be impulse, this will be reaction, this will be impulse, this will be reaction, this will be impulse, right? That's it. So we are interested in the reaction legs. Why? What is a reaction leg? This reaction leg from here to here is reacting to this impulse. This reaction leg is reacting to this impulse. This one is reacting to this impulse. This one is reacting to this impulse. We want to identify major and minor. So if you imagine we're looking at, say, this swing here, which would maybe from here to here. That's what we'd call a swing, right? From here to here. We want to look at the major and the minor. Now, you can use this tool here for measuring these. Show you the settings on them. All this does is project the length from here to here, and then it'll be repeated from here to there. That would be the exact measurement in the middle, the grey line. The red ones are wiggle room, what I call wiggle room. It's basically 10% either side. So when you look at this swing here, you're looking for major and minor. What does major mean? Major means the biggest, minor means the next biggest. That's it. It's dead simple. So you can measure this swing here from here to here, and you can look to see if it was married up. Is that the same? No, it's not. Didn't hit it. Pretty close. What about that one? Oh, That's pretty close. But actually that's the major, right? That's the major. So we would call this the major pivot. We'd call this the minor pivot. What about in this down leg here? We do the same thing again. This looks like the biggest one. No, it isn't. I think the lower one's bigger. In fact, you can see, right? This one's the biggest. This is the next business. This is major. This is minor. Why is this important? Why is this important? Because it can give us, we know that the major is going to be a key area for pulling a fib tool from. We know that the minor is also going to be a key pivot to pull a fib tool from in order to measure our fibs, okay? Or indeed for drawing forks from. Right, so let me show you this. Right, so okay, so here we have a situation where we have a swing from here to here, and here, and then it made a new high. So if you're watching to see a possible area to trade from, how do you know which pivot to pull from? You could pull from this one, 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 this one. That's too many, right? So all we do is identify major and minor. It's very simple. So your eye can tell you, I think that looks the major. Yep, that's the major and that's the minor. How do we use that information? Well, if you imagine here, in fact, you can see that there does look like there's a red line coming from here down to these two, right? So you think, okay, well, look, the red line's a bit sloppy. I don't know if there's a fib relationship. Obviously, you'd want to check that to see if you've got a trading zone here or not. But even so, you'd be looking to think should I get long there? So then you get your fib tool out and you think, well, this is the obviously one, the first one is going to be the extreme. That's the most obvious. And what does this tell you? That we're in a Momo box. Momo box, good. Yeah, very nice. Momo box, always good to have a Momo box. So you mark out your Momo box. What's the next pivot you're going to look? Well, we already identified this as the major. So guess what? Guess what? We're going to have a look to see if from the major price dropped into anything. And you can see here it didn't drop into anything. What's the next level you're going to try? The minor, which is this one here. Do we have anything here? Yes, we do. What do we have? We have a TD. This is a nice confluence in order to consider going long here. Do you see what I mean about the pivots? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? It's just major and minor. So that's really all I wanted to point it out here. So here, for example, when price is coming down, you'd be following this with fibs. You can see that this is a major, right? This one here is for sure it's a major. So you're gonna use that anyway, because to see whether this area is worth trading from, and you're going to do something like that, and you can see it's a TD, right? Price hit a TD box. And can you see how it's a sloppy, we'd call this a sloppy red line, right? This is called a sloppy red line. Another one, because you get a gap. Now, how does this work for a gap? Well, it's always what's left of the gap, right? So this here is a gap that's partially closed here. What does that mean? That means that you're going to look for a relationship. You're going to pull a fib from here. Now, you're going to always pull from the extreme anyway, so that would be down to there. And you see, we're in no man's land on this particular pull here. But you pull it down to the mid of this, and then suddenly you see, oh, got a TD. That's good information. That's good information, right? And obviously the other one you can see is drawn on the chart, but that's a TD from this low here. Okay, so you get a TD here too. And remember what I said about the major and minor. All of this stuff is fractal. What the fractal means that it's applicable in every time frame, whether it's an hourly or 5 minute or 5 second. So you can see here, what do we have here? Look, your eye should be able to see this pretty clearly now. That looks like the minor to me. Is it? They're pretty much similar, right? So we've got two the same. So what are we going to do there? Well, you can pull from there to here, and you can see that that also is a TD, right? Price fell in the TD. Now, these are the details you need to look for. price closed, bodies closed at the extreme of this TD, this one I've just drawn. And then you go from here, and what do you notice here? This is into no man's land, right? Okay. But can you see what I'm saying there? You got two TD boxes overlapping. Off major. This is off major. Right? That's a good confluence to know about, right? That can assist in giving you confidence to take a long here. There's a thing that we call nested red lines. Now I'll mention it now because it's kind of important. Sometimes you'll get a nested red line, which would be maybe something like this, right? That's what I would call a nested red line. It's an additional line of confluence to call this area. Okay. The fact you're going to have two TD boxes in here and you have that, I mean, what more do you want, right? I mean, at least it's worth taking the long for a higher high and achieving impulse. This is impulse. Can you see how this would be a logical place to exit here? Why do I say that? Look to the left. What is that? What would that target be? Come out in the 886 of this, or this box, right? Logical place to exit. Why do I say that? Because the 886 is usually the last area, the last line in the sand that price has got before it's going to break a new high. Remember, if it came up to here, the 1128, what is it? Stop hunt. It's gunning for the stops. Here, logical place to close your long from here to here. So there we go. That's pretty quick and easy major and minor swings and where to pull your fibs from. And I showed you yet again how we use gaps.